Right now, Eala is moving again. Not a breakthrough, not a headline, just one step, from world number 45 to world number 44, right before Madrid. That sounds small, almost nothing. But in tennis, the smallest moves at the right time matter the most. Because this did not happen randomly. It happened after the drop, after the losses, after people quietly started asking the question nobody wants to say out loud. Was that rise actually real? And now, just before one of the biggest tournaments of her season, the direction flips. Up, slow, controlled, quiet. That is not hype. That is a signal. Because if you zoom out, the contrast is sharp. Not long ago, Eala was invisible. Small courts, early rounds, no cameras, no noise, just matches that nobody watched. She was not chasing headlines. She was trying to survive. She turned professional in 2020. No shortcuts, no spotlight. Just the ITF circuit, week after week, country to country. Matches that barely moved her ranking. And this is the part most people never see. Because fans usually arrive when things start working. They do not see the years where nothing happens. Where you lose more than you win. Where you question if you even belong. At that stage, Eala was not dominating. She was learning how to stay. Learning how to lose without breaking. Learning how to come back the next week and do it again. That is the real foundation. Not talent, not hype, repetition. Then came the decision that changed everything. She moved to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy. Not for comfort, not for attention, for structure. Because inside that system, you are not just playing. You are being rebuilt. Your game, your discipline, your identity. And slowly, things started to shift. The results did not explode overnight, but they started stacking. ITF titles, better consistency, closer matches against stronger opponents. And then Miami Open, a wildcard entry, no expectations, no pressure. And suddenly, everything clicked. She beat names the tennis world already respected. Madison Keys, Jelena Ostapenko, Iga Swiatek. That run changed everything. Not just because she won, but because of who she beat. Because now, she was not just another young player trying to climb. She was someone who could already compete with the elite. And from that moment, the narrative flipped. She entered the top 100, then kept climbing. Top 50, top 30, all the way to world number 29. The highest ranking ever for a Filipina player. That is not hype. That is proof. But here is where the story really begins. Because rising is one phase, staying there is another. And the higher you climb, the thinner the margin becomes. Matches get tighter. Opponents get smarter. Pressure gets heavier. You are no longer chasing. You are being watched. Every match matters more. Every loss feels bigger. Every weakness gets exposed faster. And this is where most players stall. Not because they are not good enough, but because the level demands more than just talent. And for Eala, that moment came fast. The ranking dropped. The results became unstable. Not dramatically at first, just small cracks. A loss here, a tighter match there. Then Stuttgart Open. First round, clay court. A fresh start that never really started. She lost 6-1, 6-4. But the score does not tell the real story. Because the beginning of that match was brutal. She lost 20 of the first 26 points. 20 out of 26. That is not just losing. That is getting overwhelmed before you even settle. And once that happens at this level, everything speeds up. The court feels smaller. The opponent feels faster. The decisions get rushed. And suddenly, you are not playing your game anymore. You are reacting, trying to survive. And that is where the doubt creeps in. Is this just a bad match? Or is this the level? Because clay does something very specific. It exposes everything. Your movement, your patience, your decision-making. If you are even slightly late, you lose control. And when you lose control, you start reacting. And when you start reacting, the match slips. Not in one moment, but in 10 small ones. So from the outside, it looks like regression, ranking drop, early exits, momentum fading. But what if that is not the full story? What if this is the phase where everything looks like it is breaking, but something else is being built underneath? Because then something changed, quietly, not in the rankings, not immediately in the results, but in her game, and if you were not watching closely, you missed it. She stopped rushing points. She started building them. Rallies became structured. Decisions became clearer. Instead of forcing the first opening, she waited for the second. Instead of reacting to pace, she controlled direction. Instead of surviving, she dictated. That is not a small change. That is a different player. And this is the part most people misunderstand. Because the results do not change immediately. But the pattern does. She stayed in rallies longer. She recovered from slow starts. She stopped collapsing early. That is not luck. That is stability. And once stability shows up, everything changes. Because now, you are not playing for moments. You are building something repeatable, and that is when growth becomes dangerous. So when you look at that ranking move before Madrid, from 45 to 44, it is not just a number. It is direction. Up. Again. But this time, it feels different. Not explosive. Not chaotic. Controlled. And that is where this moment becomes critical. Because Eala is no longer playing for surprise wins. She is playing to hold her level. And that is a completely different game. Earlier, every match was an opportunity. Now, every match is a responsibility. Earlier, she was chasing. Now, she is being measured. And that changes everything. The way you approach points. The way you handle pressure. The way you respond when things go wrong. You stop reacting. You start deciding. And that is when players make the real jump. So now, when you look at Madrid Open, you have to look at it differently. This is not about a miracle run. This is not about shocking the world. That already happened. The real question is much harder. Can she show up the same way again, and again, and again? Because that is what a deep run actually requires. Not one great match. Consistency under pressure. Against players who already live at that level. And that is why this moment matters. Because this is not the rise. This is the transition. From rising to staying. From dangerous to consistent. From chasing to belonging. So when she steps onto that court in Madrid, you are not just watching a young player climbing. You are watching someone at the exact point where careers change. Not when they go up, but when they stop falling back. And if she holds that line, even for a few matches, then this is not just another step. This is the moment everything becomes real. So the question is simple. When the pressure hits, when the level rises, when the margin disappears, will she still look like she is climbing? Or will she look like she already belongs? Because that answer is coming next.